Hello and welcome to another episode of Girls on Deck. I'm Kayla Burge.
And I'm Lindsey Tellez.
And we are so excited for today's episode. It's really special. We have Atlanta Braves pitcher Touki Toussaint with us today. We're so excited.
And continuing with our empowering women, we have Hitting the Field Network's very own Kennedy Collins and China Davis to talk with us about the NBA playoffs. Now, to start this episode, we just want to express our respects to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the Supreme Court Justice who lost her long battle with cancer last Friday.
She's been an absolute trailblazer for women. I mean, we wouldn't have the same freedoms we have today without everything she's done. So I think it's important to remember her and honor her legacy.
Absolutely. The notorious RBG.
Yes.
She was an absolute leader for women and civil rights. And we might not be here in this position if it wasn't for her relentless fight.
Absolutely.
So we are just sending prayers and love to her family during this very difficult time.
Absolutely. And getting into it now, it's Spanish Heritage Month. And as you may know, Lindsey is Cuban and I am Puerto Rican. So we wanted to highlight some of our favorite Hispanic players.
For sure. Now, I am so proud to be Cubana, and we're going to start off with the White Sox, who made history, Major League Baseball history, in August by having four Cuban-born players at the top of their lineup. And I remember that it's Jose Abreu, Yoan Moncada, Luis Robert, and Yasmani Grandal. They were all talking about it during batting practice, like before the game, and they were so excited and so honored to be making history like that.
No, that's awesome. And, you know, some Puerto Rican players to highlight. I have to highlight my Dodgers players, Kike Hernandez. Love that guy. He is such an energy, brings so much light to the team, and he gives back to Puerto Rico in such a big way. After the hurricane, a couple years ago, he donated over $225,000 for relief funds. So. Wow. Absolutely amazing. It's awesome to see people, you know, giving back to their country, not forgetting where they come from. And then we have a Dodgers player making highlights right now is Edwin Rios. He's a third baseman, and he's going to be an asset to the Dodgers in the rest of their playoff season. He had 2 home runs and 4 RBIs in just the last 7 games. I mean, the guy's doing great. The Dodgers need him right now. We're super excited about those.
Yes, and bringing it back to the White Sox, I can't stop talking about them. You know, Jose Abreu, MVP for the American League candidate. Now, he was behind the win where they clinched the spot for the postseason. Now, the White Sox haven't been to the playoffs since 2008.
Oh, my God.
And they were actually a 100-loss team in 2018. Now, think about that turnaround. Such a quick turnaround. And it is amazing to see that Jose Abreu stuck by them. Now, he signed from Cuba in 2014, and he has been with them through this rebuild. And I actually didn't know about this, but when I was researching him, learning more about him, I realized that he was very close with Manny Minoso. And he was the first Black Latino player in the Major League Baseball.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's
so talk
interesting.
About that kind of father figure to have and to learn from.
Absolutely. Wow, that's amazing. And speaking of probably the 2 most popular Puerto Rican players, Javi Baez and Francisco Lindor.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, Mr. Smile over on the Indians. They both just, you know, they're breaking records on their own all the time. Javi Baez has won the Silver Slugger Award back in 2018, made 2 All-Star appearances. Francisco Lindor has 2 Gold Glove Awards and 2 Silver Sluggers, and then All-Star appearances as well. I mean, they're both just assets to their team and assets to MLB as a whole.
Talk about trophy cases full.
Oh, yeah.
When I was hearing that list, I'm like, wow.
I know. I was like, I don't need to mention all these because they're going to be here all day if I just keep going.
Yes. And Yasmani Grandal, White Sox catcher. He was born in Havana, and according to Fangraphs, he is the second best pitch framer and hitting catcher in 2019. Now, hitting catchers are commodity. We all know that because most teams, they go after catchers because they want their defense. Mm-hmm. They want to be able to count on them behind the plate. But Yasmani Grandal, he has it all.
Oh, yes. I mean, he can give JT Realmuto a run for his money, for sure.
For sure. And to finish out this Cuban pride, we're going to talk about the Royals' Jorge Soler. He was the American League home run king last year with 48, and he set the record for Cuban players with most home runs. And also, last but not least, he was the first Islander to do it since Cuban A's power hitter Jose Canseco won in 1991.
Oh, wow. Okay, I see you.
I am just so proud to be Cubana, like
yes.
I said.
Proud to be Puerto Rican.
Now, when we come back, earlier this week, Kayla had the chance to talk to Braves pitcher Touki Toussaint, so stay with us.
I mean, yeah, they lost the last two, but third time's a charm, right? That's what I tell myself every night before I cry myself to sleep, right?
Definitely. In my eyes, I know he's pitching game 2, and his postseason ERA is about over like 4, and I'm scared.
Because I like losing, apparently. It seems to be the trend. It's Jeter, too. He's just mad because the Yankees lost in the 2003 World Series.
03 World Series?
I think I have a better chance of winning the lottery, actually. Like, I'm probably going to throw it all on red this summer and hope for the best.
100%. And they're better than the Houston Astros. The Trastros?
Honestly, Justin Verlander is the second coming of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. He is a god. I would go straight for Kate Upton.
I don't know.
We didn't give him enough. Should have given him $500 million.
Let's go, Yankees. The Yankees will not lose. Let's be clear. Best team in baseball ever.
I'm here with Atlanta Braves pitcher Touki Toussaint. Touki, how are you today?
Doing well, and yourself?
I'm doing good. So we're in an interesting time in sports where everything has new protocols and new ways of doing things. So what's a day in the life of a Braves player in 2020?
Oh, man. Wake up. Do regular stuff at home. But you also have to do a home screening before you go to the yard. Get to the yard. If it's a test day, let's go test day. You have to spit in the tube and then get your temperature checked and answer all these types of questions like what are your symptoms like, stuff like that. And then basically just it's all the same kind of – it's the same day but just more rules. Like I got to wear my mask everywhere and things of that sort.
More protocol. So yeah, practice, then games. Is it different? Does it feel different or does it feel more or less the same?
Games are probably the only different things. Like if you're a pitcher, you're not playing that day, like you're going home. You're not staying around the clubhouse and stuff like that. I mean, that might be for our team, and different teams do different things. But yeah, for the most part, if you're not playing that day, you're either you can watch the game for a little bit and then go home, or you're going home as soon as the game starts. Okay. And we're all watching the game at home.
Okay, so now I want to know what made you want to start baseball. I've seen you in past interviews, and I know you said you got kind of a later start. So what inspired you to start playing and stick with it?
I'd just say it's a challenge. Like, baseball is challenging. And every other sport, I wouldn't say every other sport is easy, but there's not as many challenges as there is in baseball. It doesn't matter how big, strong, fast, small. Doesn't matter how much you weigh. Like, doesn't mean you're going to win. Doesn't mean you're going to lose. And I feel like other sports like football, soccer, if you're faster than somebody and have better footwork, you're going to probably do better than them. In baseball, you see some of the greats go out there and still get hit around, or some of the best players in the world still go 0 for 40. You know what I mean? And I think that's the best part about baseball.
Okay, so in your past 3 seasons with the Braves, what do you think you've most improved? Like, where do you think you've most improved?
Dang, that's a tough question.
Put you on the spot.
just being myself more. I mean, past 3 seasons, being able to, get more into my routine, be able to be a professional, let's say. That's what I've been proved more on. And that sounds weird, but it's a hard term to understand about being more professional, which is getting to your routine, doing the things that matter more now rather than the other stuff that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
watching video, studying hitters, I mean, doing dry drills, taking care of your body, whether it's a massage or just stuff like that.
Okay, and then speaking of taking care of your body, like what would be your favorite exercise, I guess, to do to help you get ready for a game?
Massage.
Massage?
Yeah.
I'm sure. I mean, that's probably like nice.
Yeah, I mean, starting, if I'm a starter, I probably get 2 massages a week, either the day of my day start, and either the day after or my bullpen day, just depending how I feel. So I get 2 massages a week, depending what, either if we're on the road or at home, still try to get it in there.
Sounds nice. Okay, so Braves are #1 in the National League East right now. Speaking for the whole team, what do you think they need to do to secure a good playoff run?
Just need to keep playing ball. I mean, keep staying together, keep doing our job. That's speaking for the whole team.
Okay, so who would you say is your biggest role model in baseball, someone that inspired you to get into the game maybe?
See, it's changed a lot just from being a position player growing up and then being a pitcher. I mean, I've had a lot of great role models and mentors and guys that, I look up to, and they helped me a lot, from the Edwin Jacksons to Aaron Sanchez to Jose Fernandez. I mean, I've had a lot of guys that I could say, like, those are my mentors. Those are guys that, someday want to be like. But
No,
the guy that,
oh, sorry.
Wait, am I right?
Continue, sorry.
All right, if I could be one person in the game, it would be him. And I've always said this, Pedro Martinez is that guy.
Yeah, definitely left a legacy for sure. And that's awesome. And I grew up in Miami, of course, and I know you did too. So Jose Fernandez, the death was, I mean, something that hit close to home for me and just the community of Miami. So what do you think he should be remembered as from your, did you know him personally? Like what is the legacy that he left behind in your opinion?
GOAT.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just from, I knew him personally. I mean, great personality, always had fun. I mean, never not smiling. And that basically just told you, like, he, took life as life was. It was never a day for granted. It was always, hey, man, like, be happy, be yourself. And one thing I loved about him the most, he would up 7 runs or down 7 runs, there's still a smile on his face, and he was still competing. And that's, like, you don't really see that often. Guys go out there and give up 7 runs and they're pissed, but him, he was still smiling. And yeah, there's something to be mad at, but he knew, like, all right, you got me, but tomorrow I'm gonna get you.
Yeah, I think that's so important too. That's what probably made him even better pitcher, is the fact that he didn't let things get to him and he kept moving on. And I remember my sister was in a boot and we went to Fan Fest and he was leaving. He was out of there. And, a couple players had walked by and they're like, no pictures, no more pictures. And he looked at my sister and he saw her in a boot and he's like, all right. And he went over and talked to us for a little bit. And he was such a genuine personality. So I think that's something I'll always remember him as too.
He was the man. I mean, first meeting him, I talked to him for like 2 hours before he even had to go pitch. He had to pitch that night and still took the time and talked to me for legit hour and a half, 2 hours. And it was like, damn. And then he went out and dominated. And it was even like, yeah, I was there.
Yes. No, it was awesome. And then, of course, probably one of my favorite baseball moments was seeing D. Gordon hit the home run in their first game back after everything that happened. It was very powerful.
Yeah, D's the man, too. I mean, those guys, that whole team is a great group of guys.
Oh, yeah, it was an exciting team to watch for sure. All right, and then so this offseason was a little different. Obviously, I would I imagine it's a little easier for a pitcher to have that longer bit of rest, but how do you think your offseason went? Do you think it was better that it was longer? Would you much prefer the way it was before?
It was kind of weird because it wasn't really off season because we went back to spring training and then we got shut down. So I didn't really like it because it was just different. Like I was ready for spring training. We're in spring training, full go, and then the last week they're like, "Hey, go home." And when I first got home, I was like, "Okay, so what do I do now? Do I keep throwing? Do I not throw?" And then I'd throw every day. Then news would get worse, like, "Oh, we're not gonna play this year." And I'm like, "All right, so do I shut it down?" And I took a week off, and then it was like, "All right, we're gonna play again." And I'm like, "What?" Like, good thing I'm not that far behind. So
yeah. So when they sent you back after the first round of spring training, did they give you like workouts to keep up with, things to do, or they were just kind of like, we don't know?
No, I mean, everyone was in a different situation because nobody really knew. So it was like, all right, work out or don't work out. Some teams, I heard that, hey, shut it down. Some teams were like, hey, keep working out. I mean, our team was do what you have to do to stay ready. So I took that upon myself and did what I had to do. I mean, I found a gym that I could work out at, knew I could go to high schools and play catch and throw and things like that.
Okay, so you're a big proponent of the Players Alliance, who describes their focus to be on building equitable systems in order to change the trajectory of diversity throughout baseball. What drew you to this organization, and why do you feel it's so important?
What drew me is just being African American. I mean, it's only 70 of us in the game right now, and you look around the clubhouse, there's not many of us like that, and I want to be able to change that. And I feel like the Player Alliance was the perfect match. It was a bunch of African American guys that got together and was like, we're going to be the change. And we took it upon ourselves and put it in the work.
That's awesome. And how was it for you growing up? You know, baseball is a predominantly white sport. So how did you go through a lot of struggles with it growing up?
I did, but I mean, the people that I played with took me in as their own. So they always, took care of that part of the game and didn't really make me see what was really going on. And now that I'm older, I can understand it and really look back and like, oh, damn, like I was the only black kid and I was, the token, as they call it. And I don't want the kids now playing the game to feel like that. You know what I mean? Because I know what it felt like, even though I was in a better situation than most, but it's not something that should be okay.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that the Players Alliance, I think it's so important that you guys are doing that, to create a safer environment for the younger generation going into it.
Most definitely. I mean, that's all it's all about, take one, teach one, pass one. I mean, it's not about you. It's about who comes after you.
Well, thank you so much for talking with me. It was really an awesome pleasure, and I hope you have a great day and a great rest of the season.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
I have a very special guest, Mr. Mike Golick Jr. Let me tell you, this is one of the nicest guys I have met so far in this industry. So thank you so much for coming and talking with me. I really appreciate it.
Hey, listen, smart move. I am not immune to flattery, so buttering me up on the way in is the absolute right way to do this. You're learning already.
That was the goal. I had it in my notes.
Welcome back. That was a great interview with Touki Toussaint.
Thank you.
And we are getting ready to jump into some NBA playoffs, the most exciting time of the season.
Oh, yes.
With Kennedy Collins and China Davis.
Yes, so I'm going to get right into it with the Heat. Everyone thought the Heat's playoff run would end when they played Milwaukee, but they did the opposite and ended up winning and are now 10-2 in the playoffs. China, what do you think got them this far?
First of all, I think the Heat is a great offensive team. They play very well together. When you have a veteran, I forgot his name. What's his name? Jimmy Butler on the team. It helps sync the offense well. So when you have people that just hungry as you are, that play well, that know when to score, that know their role, it's going to get you far. And that's what we've seen with the Heat. So,
yeah, I know some people had their opinions on Jimmy Butler going to the Heat, but clearly it's working for them. So.
And what about you, Kennedy? What do you think?
Well, I've spoken about it numerous amount of times. The Heat organization is one of the most consistent organizations in the NBA. With Pat Riley as president and Eric Spoelstra as coach, they have everything that they need to succeed. Then, of course, with Udonis Haslem on the bench, just kind of being a mentor for younger players and keeping players like Jimmy Butler consistent, I think that puts them in a great position to be where they are. I also think that the bubble has kind of given a lot of teams a opportunity to really focus in on basketball and just to really perfect their craft and to really play to their strengths. So I think Miami is one of those teams that took advantage of this bubble and came in, locked into basketball, didn't worry about anything on the outside, and really took advantage of it, and we're seeing it right now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Heat,
I know.
No pun intended. They were on fire.
Oh, yeah.
And they were up 2-0. And then Boston came out and took Saturday's game 117 to 106. Now, what do you think ignited this fire for the Celtics? Was it their aggressive, smart offense? Now, let's start with you, Kennedy.
Well, the Heat put them in a very uncomfortable position going down 2-0. They're pretty much, you have you're back against the wall. So for the Celtics, it's pretty much, if we don't win this game, our season is pretty much over because it's kind of hard. It's different if it's a 3-1, but when you go down 3-0, it's just one game away from sending you home. So for the Heat, it was just a sense of urgency. We saw Marcus Smart was very emotional in the locker room, had things to say, had some things to throw. But for the Celtics, they knew exactly what they needed to come out and be prepared to take on the Heat. And I think I said it with my interview with Sean. Definitely ball movement had to be a big thing for them. So they came out, they did that, they got their players involved, and they knew that this had to be the game where they came back in order to stay in the series.
Yeah, absolutely. No NBA team has ever come out of a 3-0 hole against the Heat. So there was a fire lit up under them, and they said, "Listen, we need to go out there and we need to get this done now."
Absolutely. All right, so now the Nuggets were not perceived to be conference finals contenders at the beginning of the season. Their defense simply doesn't live up to the Lakers or Clippers standards, and yet they've made it this far. So, China, what do you think their X factor has been, or what do you think really got them to where they are now?
I'm going back to, what I said about the Heat, just players knowing their role, Jamal Murray, and what he's done and Djokovic and how they play well together. Again, chemistry can take you a long way. So if my guys and my team, they know what they need to do, they know the urgency of winning games and understanding their roles, then that's going to get you far. And the Nuggets, they know how to battle. They know how to get it done down the stretch. We've seen them come back multiple times. So they got fighters on their team. They play well together. The chemistry is great. I think that's the main thing, the main key for that team.
And what about you, Kennedy?
Well, what we're forgetting is that the Nuggets were the number 3 seed 2 years back-to-back. So they were a contender. They were in a position where they knew that pretty much for this season, like I said, everyone's honing into basketball. And they struggled a little bit with their first series with the Jazz, but they brought that to a Game 7 from a 3-1 deficit. And then the same thing with the Clippers, bringing that to a Game 7 and then winning that series. So with the Nuggets, we know that they're fighters. Michael Malone is really proving himself as an NBA coach, handling headlines on and off the court and just learning how to manage such young stars in the game. I think also with Jamal Murray is showing some tremendous leadership at 23 years old because this team is a young team and they do have a lot of depth, but at the same time, it takes a lot of control to be able to play the way that they are. So for the Nuggets, I think it's just a collection of leadership, it's a collection of coaching, and it's just a collection of just getting the best out of your young talent.
Yes, you have some great points there. Mm-hmm. And Nikola Jokic has been a serious threat to the Lakers. And he scored 30 points on Sunday, including the Nuggets' final 11 that almost won the game. Now, I'm going to ask you, how can the Lakers tame him to secure their spot in the finals? China?
I don't know. How do you? To me, he's such a great player, man. He's such a great player. I thought that, once the Lakers got their defense set up, that's when they did tame him. But when the Nuggets were just running, finding that open player, which he was open most of the time, that's when it was like their defense got dismantled. So honestly, I don't know how they can tame him. I just say just stick to, the defense in their lineups on, whoever is guarding him know what they have to do and know they have to keep him in front of them. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting rest of the series. I'm excited. I think it'd be cool to see Nuggets take the Lakers out.
I would love to see the Lakers continue their dominance because I was watching that last game and it was Jokic, Davis, Davis, back and forth. My heart was pounding.
Yeah, it's intense.
It was nerve-wracking. It was the most intense moment, that fourth quarter, I have ever watched in a game.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now, okay, Giannis won MVP, but do you think LeBron deserved that more? China, you start.
Absolutely. I think LeBron in this last game showed why he should have been MVP, and he just took over to play at this skill level with his age. He's looking like Father Time right now. He's continuing to prove why he's LBJ and what he does and why he's the king. So I think he got cheated out of that. I think LeBron really should have got that MVP.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I mean, he's been dominating the bubble. So I agree with that. Kennedy, what do you think? Do you agree or disagree?
I disagree. I think it has to go to Giannis, only because of what Giannis has done with the program that he's been planted in. Arguably, LeBron is one of the best players, not just for his age, but in the NBA currently, and I will always give that to LeBron, especially because he is a freak of an athlete. At 35, I do not think I could be dunking like LeBron. But with Giannis, just look at who he's playing around. Giannis really did grow into the Bucks organization, and the only all-star that he's ever played with is Chris Middleton. And we didn't even see the most out of Chris Middleton that we could have. So to see what Giannis is doing with the Bucks organization and just as a player, and to average 29 with 13 rebounds and 8 assists, it's not just because, you're good. You're a really great player, especially at his age. So with LeBron, of course, he's a great player, but when you're playing with someone like Anthony Davis, you cannot expect to get an MVP award because you have a great complement. So I think for LeBron, yes, great player. MVP, not this year.
China, do you have any counter for that? What do you think?
I mean, everyone's going to have their opinion. I respect everyone's opinion. So she made great points, and that is the truth. Like, what Giannis has done with the Bucks is tremendous. But they got eliminated, and you just see, I hate to see a player like that surrounded by those type of players. He just needs another star or somebody else to help him with that Bucks organization. Hopefully, with this award and awards he's won this season, they can grab somebody and use it in the off season and maybe get more. But I mean, I respect her opinion. She came with facts, so I can't argue with that.
Yeah, I mean, Shaq said during the halftime report that LeBron was in attack mode on Sunday night's game. So we'll see.
LeBron wants it.
For sure. And, with Giannis, it kind of reminds me of Mike Trout's situation with the Los Angeles Angels. Like, they have such an amazing player on that team. And like China said, surrounded by other players that aren't exactly up to par with him. So...
Well, thank you so much for talking with us today. Hope to see you soon. Stay tuned.
Thank you so much, ladies.
How has a failure or apparent failure set you up for a future success? And do you maybe have a favorite failure of yours?
I think there was a time in my life where I was living in Germany. I'd lived in Germany for a year. You might have read that in the article, actually. And I remember coming back from Germany and having the goal in mind to work in baseball, but really being completely resigned that there's no way I could possibly make it happen. I just didn't have, the technical coding know-how to be like a numbers cruncher in a front office. I didn't really have any connections in the industry to speak of. And so I just felt completely dejected. And, I had this YouTube channel that had 800 subscribers. And the first time I made a baseball bits, which is, like you said, the flagship series, I probably got 200 views or something like that. But then I kept making them. And I think by the time I got to the third one, it just blew up. And then that's kind of where I got to where I am now.
Once again, thank you so much to China and Kennedy for talking some NBA with us. Now, to end the show, we're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to end it with a feel-good story, talking about Tanner Houck from the Boston Red Sox.
Now, when he was in the minor leagues, he pledged that he would donate $25 for every strikeout that he had in his start. So the background story about that is his younger sister, Rihanna, was adopted when she was 4 years old. And it's very close to his heart. So when he got brought up to the majors, he decided that he was going to donate $100 now for every strikeout that he had. Now, his first start was against the Marlins. He struck out 7, so that means $700 was donated to Pitch for Adoption, which was actually the program that he started back home in Illinois in 2018.
It's awesome to hear that because he's not making a lot of money by any means right now. He just started in the MLB to be like, he's almost in a minor's contract, basically. So it's so awesome to see that he's still going out of his way to give back to something so close to home for him and something so important. You know, I think a lot of people forget there's a lot of kids in foster care in this country, and I think it's awesome that he's really targeting that and making that his mission.
Yes, absolutely. And this program does a number of beautiful things for the community. They also provide therapy for children who have been experiencing trauma early in their life. So like you said, for him to be donating money when he's not making much at all, it really shows a lot about his character.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And when we were brainstorming about this, you know, we can make this a whole segment.
Yeah.
Because across the board, through all sports, players are doing amazing things for their communities, and it should be talked about more.
I definitely think so. I think a lot of it goes hidden. Like, you know, they don't talk about it. You see one article out about it. When I was looking up Tanner Houck, I found one article from a no-name news site, and I'm like, why isn't this everywhere? I mean, this is amazing. This is what people want to hear. There's so much negativity in this country right now that I think it's awesome to hear these stories about people still doing good and taking time out of their day to think of others.
It's just beautiful. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Girls on Deck, and we will be back next Wednesday. You won't want to miss it.
Stay tuned.